ça ne va pas se passer comme ça. Vous allez les vendre au Bénin. Je dis que je vais rester là. Ça ne va pas se passer comme ça. Les Gabonais.
Last week, the authorities in Gabon made a shocking announcement which has made us realize that Africa has a long way to go when it comes to African unity. In a time and era where the African Union is pushing for free trade within Africa, the authorities have made a decision that will hinder this movement. They have banned every African trader from operating certain small trades in Gabon. But why did they make this decision? And what does it mean for African unity? Let's find out. Earlier in August, a new market was opened in Lambaréné, Gabon. Not surprisingly, traders and vendors immediately rushed to get the best spots. Among these traders are women from Mali, Benin, Ivory Coast, and a couple of others from other African countries. Some of them sell foodstuffs like vegetables, while others run hair salons and small shops. Everything was going smoothly. These women would wake up every morning, go to their small shops and make sales. Everyone was happy, or so everyone thought. On one fateful day, a Gabonese social media influencer paid a visit to the Gabonese market, probably to shoot videos for her social media accounts. In the process, she observed that a couple of the traders in the market were women from other African countries. For some reason, this made her angry. With her camera rolling, she told the women to go back to their countries. These market women didn't commit any crimes. They weren't selling anything illegal. They were simple traders who, like other Gabonese small-time traders, were selling little things to make ends meet. But then, this influencer came from nowhere and told them to leave Gabon, go back to their country, and sell to citizens of their own country. The influencer published the videos on her social media pages, and within hours it went viral in Gabon. This is where it gets interesting. Some Gabonese agreed with the influencer. They too wanted the traders from other African countries to leave Gabon. It was as if they had been harboring such thoughts in their heads, and the actions of the influencer gave them a platform to express their thoughts. But the most shocking part was the response of the Gabonese government. The government didn't just condemn the traders. Within 72 hours of the video going viral, the Gabonese government made a decree that has sent shockwaves across West Africa. According to local media, the Gabonese government of President Brice Oligui Nguema has announced a ban for foreigners, mainly Cameroonians, Nigerians, Malians, and other West African nationals, from operating small businesses. Presented as a measure to protect national operators, this decision is part of a strategy of Gabonization of urban economic circuits. Behind this, a political calculation to attract an urban electorate often hostile to foreign competition in retail, a sector where the average profit margin can reach 20%, but where rents and charges weigh heavily on margins. After the announcement at the Council of Ministers on Tuesday, August 12th, the Gabonese government decided to ban expatriates from practicing certain small trades. This is to combat unemployment and gradually take control of the country's small economy. Foreigners living in Gabon are now prohibited from engaging in local commerce, sending and repairing phones and small devices, street hairdressing, and beauty care. The same goes for artisanal gold mining, crop purchasing, operation of small workshops or gaming machines. According to the Gabonese press, current tensions stem from the allocation of spaces in a recently inaugurated market in Lambaréné to foreign female traders, mostly from West Africa, to the detriment of many local vendors. This situation has fueled accusations of social injustice and reignited identity tensions. The government said the new measures will be implemented gradually with a transition period and support from local municipalities. Gabonese entrepreneurs will receive assistance to formalize their businesses through simplified procedures, technical and fiscal support, and access to financing. Gabon's decision follows an intense national debate about the role of foreigners in the local economy. Critics, including some social media influencers and business leaders, have long complained about what they call unfair competition and limited opportunities for Gabonese. However, others view the policy as xenophobic and a way to deflect attention from more complex economic problems. So, the Gabonese government says they are doing this to protect local businesses. But what would happen to those women from other African countries who rely on their little trade for survival? There is no place where the Gabonese government made any provision for them. In other words, for the Gabonese government and people, Just because these women are not from Gabon, they deserve to be treated unjustly? How does this make any sense? How can a couple of female traders selling in small shops stop Gabonese citizens from setting up similar shops and businesses? Or is competition in business no longer allowed in business? Indeed, we agree with those who say that the policy is xenophobic and is simply a way to deflect attention from more complex economic problems. Now, here is what is even more interesting. Why has no Gabonese citizen come out to criticize the real foreigners who are actually taking money from Gabon? We are talking about big Western multinationals corporations like Total and ExxonMobil. For years, these oil giants have exploited Gabon's oil resources and make billions out of the country without even investing even a quarter of what they take out in Gabon. But for some reason, the government of Gabon and some citizens believe that citizens from other African countries who make less than $20 a day are the problem. How does that make any sense? Interestingly, whatever profit these women who sell in their small shops make, they put it back in the Gabonese economy by buying other products from Gabonese traders. Think about it. They pay rent to a Gabonese landlord. They buy from Gabonese suppliers, and their children probably go to a Gabonese school. In contrast, when Western companies make money after exploring Gabon's oil, they take the money and spend it all in their countries. So who is truly the problem? The petty traders from other African countries or huge multinational corporations? The answer is clear. Instead of figuring out how to chase out these huge companies stealing Gabon's resources, the government is fighting petty traders from other African countries. This situation is not just pathetic, but brings to mind a troubling thought. Africans are not ready for a united Africa. We can speak all about a united Africa from now till a million years. But this dream will never happen when Africans see each other as a threat and create policies that segregate other African citizens. The crazy thing is that this is not just happening in Gabon. This is a broader trend on the continent, where the African Continental Free Trade Area, which came into effect in 2021 and is supposed to create a single market of 1.3 billion people with a combined GDP of over $3 trillion, is facing challenges from African countries. As we said earlier, Gabon is just one example. In South Africa, the Black economic empowerment continues to play a role in economic redistribution. But in a context of mass unemployment, the political discourse becomes more exclusive. South Africa has long been seen as a land of opportunity for migrants across the continent. But in its crowded cities, opportunity has bred hostility. Herman Mashaba, the former mayor of Johannesburg, made his name by taking a hard line on migration. With his liberal economic views and fiery speeches, he argued that South Africa was being overwhelmed by outsiders. Mozambican traders, Zimbabwean workers, Nigerian entrepreneurs, all became targets in his campaign to take back the city. The rhetoric quickly spilled onto the streets. In 2019, xenophobic riots tore through Johannesburg. What started as anger over jobs and housing ended in bloodshed. 62 lives were lost, many of them foreigners hunted down by angry mobs. Just 2 years later, in 2021, the violence returned. This time, it was even worse. Over 350 people were killed as neighborhoods descended into chaos. For many, it was a chilling sign that xenophobia had moved beyond politics and into daily survival. Far to the north in Tunisia, a different storm was brewing. In 2023, President Kais Saied stood before the nation and spoke of a so-called plan to alter Tunisia's population through sub-Saharan migration. His words ignited fear and suspicion. Within weeks, the government tightened administrative restrictions. Thousands of migrants who had quietly built lives in Tunisia suddenly found themselves pushed into the shadows, trapped by a system designed to shut them out. For them, Saied's speech was not just rhetoric. It was a warning that the state was turning against them. Meanwhile, in East Africa, Tanzania was shaping its own hard stance on migration. In July, lawmakers passed a law barring foreigners from working in 15 types of small-scale business. Street hairstyling, shoe repair, phone servicing, ordinary jobs that sustained thousands of migrants were suddenly illegal. Officials justified the law by claiming that Tanzanian workers were being marginalized by foreign competition. But the consequences went beyond economics. Migrants who broke the law faced heavy fines and even the threat of prison. The crackdown was not new. Under the late President John Magufuli, Tanzania had already set strict quotas on foreign workers and enforced rules requiring that at least 51% of capital in certain industries remain in local hands. The policies were meant to protect Tanzanians, but they left neighboring entrepreneurs from Kenya, Uganda, and Congo struggling against walls of regulation. And yet, the contradictions were striking. In 2021, trade between Kenya and Tanzania still reached over $900 million. Goods flowed across the border, businesses thrived, and the two economies grew closer. But for the small-scale migrant trader, the reality was different. Laws had turned survival into crime. A barber's chair, a shoemaker's stall, a phone repair booth. These were no longer opportunities. They were evidence of an offense. From Johannesburg to Tunis to Dar es Salaam, the same question lingers. How far will nations go to protect their citizens? And at what cost to the human beings crossing borders in search of nothing more than dignity and survival? Algeria's south tells a hard story. Trucks carry Malian and Nigerian workers to the border in the name of employment regulation, while construction slows and farms wait for hands. Some are dumped into the Sahara, where the heat ends the journey. Across the region, Nigeria's bans on rice, textiles, and cement ripple through ECOWAS. Borders clog, prices jump, small traders stall. In Côte d'Ivoire, economic ivoirite resurfaces in tense seasons, turning neighbors into suspects, especially around elections. The numbers reflect the damage. Intra-African trade sits near 15%, far from the European Union's tilde 65%. The barriers are often invisible, forms that take months, quotas that change overnight, customs delays timed to a line on a map. One stamp can freeze a business, one decree can end a livelihood. AfCFTA promised open lanes and scale, but a treaty is only a doorway. If old habits stay, it becomes a frame with no picture. Beneath policy lies perception. Too often, an African from next door is treated as a threat, while outsiders are welcomed with contracts and smiles. That habit can change. Brothers build faster than rivals. Neighbors who trade become partners. Partners become stakeholders. Lower the invisible walls, back African talent first, and let AfCFTA breathe. What do you think? Share your view in the comments. And if this resonates, like and subscribe to the channel.